The Senate will come to order. The senators-elect will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will please retire to the gallery. Happy New Year, Senators. It is so good to see all of you. And will the senators-elect and all in attendance please stand if you are able. We will be led in prayer this morning by the Reverend William Archer of Potomac Valley Church in Dumfries, Virginia. Following the prayer, everyone will please remain standing, and we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America by Susan Clark-Shar, Clerk of the Senate.
To our distinguished Lieutenant Governor, the President Pro Temp Lucas, our Senate Majority Leader Surville, and Minority Leader McDougall, and noble senators and esteemed dignitaries and fellow citizens, I'm grateful that I get this chance to pray in public as I've been praying in private for all of you. Let's bow our heads in prayer. As we begin this prayer, we thank God of the words that you put in the prophet Isaiah's heart, that he put to pen in Isaiah 32, where it says, "See, a king will reign in righteousness, and rulers will rule with justice. Each one will be like a shelter from the wind and as a refuge from the storm, like streams of water in the desert and the shadow of a great rock in a thirsty land. Then the eyes of those who see will no longer be closed, and the ears of those who hear will listen. The fearful heart will know and understand, and the stammering tongue will be fluent and clear. No longer will fools be called noble, nor scoundrels be highly respected. But the noble make noble plans, and by noble deeds they stand." God, we pray for these senators. We pray for this body. We know, God, that you knitted every one of us in this room in our mother's womb. God, you knew us before anyone knew us. You were there with us when we breathed our first breath, and you alone will be with us when we breathe our last. In that knowledge, God, I pray that you can grant our senators wisdom, humility, strength, courage, and uncommon fortitude for these troubled times that we live in. God, you made every one of them as you've made every one of us in your image. We are your people, and we have elected them to represent us. In the midst of all the bitter polarization and the gridlock that we see just 100 miles from this chamber in our nation's capital, I pray, God, that you'll grant the leaders in our Commonwealth the courage to show the way forward. Oh, great God, as our national Constitution was born out of Virginia's Constitution, may these senators find a way to work together, to serve the people, to do the work of the people. Here in Richmond, God, I pray they will pursue the path of nobility, of righteousness, a way of staying true to their convictions while finding common ground with their colleagues across the aisle. Our Commonwealth looks to you. We look to you. The work of the campaigns is over, and the people's business is at hand. So, God, we pray that you would help us. We pray you'd be with us. We pray that you'd strengthen us, and we pray that you would strengthen them, God. We pray all these things with confidence and clarity, with malice towards none, and charity towards all, with firmness in the right, as God, you give us to see the right. We pray all these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will report an announcement.
The senators-elect have been certified by the Department of Elections.
The clerk will call the roll. All senators-elect will vote aye. The clerk will close the roll.
A quorum is present, Madam President. We would ask that the senators-elect now stand. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Virginia, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Senate of Virginia. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
The senators will now sign the oath and its copy on their desk, and the staff will collect and deliver them to the clerk for referral to the Committee on Privileges and Elections. The Senate will be temporarily at ease. Order. Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the senator from the senior senator from Prince William. All things have changed.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This afternoon, we had the invocation provided to us by Reverend Will Archer, and he is of Dumfries, Virginia, the Potomac Valley Church, and his congregation is a neat one to go visit. He has locations in Dumfries as well as Fredericksburg. They are an engaged and welcoming community that participate in so many other things, whether it's helping out, feeding the homeless, a kickoff for the Dumfries Christmas Day Parade, and so many other things. He just did a fantastic job kicking us off this afternoon. He's been engaged over the last 27 years as a faith leader in the community and almost the last decade at Potomac Valley, and is currently pursuing his doctoral candidate at Virginia Theological Seminary, Madam President. And please provide Reverend Will Archer with a warm welcome of the Senate.
Reverend Archer, please rise. Thank you for all that you do in our great community. I don't know when you sleep, having heard all that you're doing. And thank you so much for the sacrifices that you must be making on behalf of those who are so in need of your help. And I know that you especially have a veterans program for PTSD sufferers, and thank you for that. We're losing too many of our veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him the warm welcome of our Senate. Chair now recognizes the senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Sorrell.
Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning.
Madam President, I move to grant the privileges of the floor to my mom and other distinguished persons.
The question is, shall the privileges of the floor be granted to distinguished persons? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The privileges of the floor are granted. Welcome, family. Welcome, guests. Chair now recognizes the senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, please welcome to the Senate of Virginia, Senator LaSharice Aird of Petersburg. She's representing District 13. Senator Aird earned her undergraduate degree from Virginia State University, which also has awarded her an honorary doctorate of humane letters. She is a graduate of UVA's Sorensen Political Leadership Program and the VCU Minority Political Leadership Institute. Senator Aird is the Virginia State Social Action Coordinator for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Well, I guess you have to make a mistake somewhere. She serves on the boards for Sorensen, Sports Backers, Chippenham Johnson Willis Hospital, and the Virginia League of Planned Parenthood. She's also a member of the Petersburg Lunch Rotary. In 2015, she was the youngest woman elected to the Virginia House of Delegates. Over her 3 terms, she established a reputation as a courageous champion for social, racial, economic, and environmental justice issues. Professionally, Senator Aird serves as Chief of Staff to the President of Richard Bland College of William and Mary. She's married to Blaine, and they are the proud parents of Blaine and Blake, who join her here today. Please welcome Senator Aird.
Chair again recognizes the senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you again, Madam President. Colleagues, please join me in welcoming Senator Jennifer Carroll Foy of Eastern Prince William County. She represents the 33rd District. She was born and grew up in Petersburg, Virginia. She was raised by her grandmother, where she gets her tenaciousness. Senator Carol Foy joined the junior ROTC in high school, and after graduating from Petersburg High School, she was one of the first African-American women cohorts to enter the Virginia Military Institute. After leaving VMI, she received a master's degree from Virginia State University and then went on to pursue a law degree from the Thomas Jefferson School of Law in San Diego. After spending some time teaching and working as a litigation associate, Senator Carol Foy returned home to open a solo practice focusing on criminal defense. In 2017, she ran for and won a seat in the House of Delegates representing the 2nd District. She did so while pregnant with her twin boys, who are now, I think they're 6 years old, and joining us in the gallery with their dad. While working as a magistrate judge, Senator Carol Foy witnessed how people were being treated based on their race, economic status. She is now a public defender, giving voice to those who most need it. Please join me in welcoming the senator from Eastern Prince William, Senator Jennifer Carol Foy.
Chair now recognizes the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeSteph.
Madam President, I rise to introduce Christy New Craig. Christy New Craig, a long lifetime member of Chesapeake resident, has dedicated her life to public service, influenced by her immigrant parents, values in God, family, and country. Raised in a military family with deep roots in Hampton Roads, Christy served as a deputy in the Chesapeake Sheriff's Office before joining Delegate John Cosgrove and later becoming his chief of staff when he joined the Senate. In Richmond, Christy and John collaborated to pass legislation expanding mental health resources for veterans and first responders, protecting veterans' rights, and advocating for Hampton Roads development. Recognized the military heritage, Christy helped establish the Military Veterans Caucus, supporting veterans in the General Assembly. 2010, Christy transitioned to education, serving 3 terms in the Chesapeake School Board, serving as chair and vice chair. A lifelong mother and grandmother, Christy also co-owns a catering business and a tree farm. Let's hope that we don't mix trees and food too much, but it's a good thing. She's also joined today with her husband, Merrill, a retired law enforcement officer. Christy's commitment extends to law enforcement with her husband, Merrill, son and brother all serving. She understands the sacrifices of first responders and aims to secure additional benefits and resources for them. Inspired by her family's military service, Christy fights for veterans' benefits, earning recognition with the Virginia Bronze Star Medal. She aims to make Virginia the most military-friendly state by cutting taxes for veterans, supporting career transition programs, and expanding benefits. As a small business owner, Christy, following in her grandfather's example, understands the challenges and growth in the Senate. She plans to cut government regulations to support small businesses and promote free market principles. With 23 years of service in the House and Senate, Christy values the government transparency and aims to be a voice of all of Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, listening to the concerns of the district voters. As a leader, she'll stand up for the community's needs and principles. Please join me in welcoming Christy New Craig.
Chair now recognizes Senator Reeves, the senator from Orange.
Thank you, Madam President. Rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, it's my honor to introduce one of our new senators who's really not new to this Capitol because he's been here many times before in a different role, Danny Diggs, who now represents Senate District 24. He recently retired as the sheriff of York County. He started there when, gosh, I didn't think you could even be a police officer at 19, but he served in the city of Poquoson after serving 45 years as a law enforcement officer. He was first elected sheriff of York and Poquoson an additional 5 times, serving there for 23 years. But he started in 1976 at the age of 19. And so he's had a lot of jobs, everything from a patrol officer to an investigator to even being a jailer at one time. He's got a graduate degree from the FBI National Academy, which is a pretty tough program to get through, Madam President. He served in leadership roles both at the state and national levels, and in 2012, he was president of the Virginia Sheriff's Association, and he served on the Congressional Affairs Committee of the National Sheriff's Association, so we saw him a lot when he was down here trying to get support for all the sheriffs that we have in the state. When our governor, Bob McDonnell, appointed him to serve on the E911 Services Board when we were working on that, he's been in local community, served on the board of directors for multiple nonprofits, including the York Poquoson Red Cross, the York County Chamber of Commerce, the Boys and Girls Club, and he's also a member of the Kiwanis Club of Grafton. He's born and raised in Poquoson. He lives in Seaford area in York County with his lovely wife. He's married, has 2 children, 4 grandchildren who are in attendance today, and his wife is here as well. And it'd be my pleasure to introduce Danny and welcome him to the Senate.
Chair now recognizes Senator Stewart, senator from King George.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam President, members, it's my pleasure to bring Senator Durant to the body. Tara Durant was born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa, and amongst a family that was very active in those caucuses, and in fact, her grandmother served as a committee chair. She is a very proud mother of 3, a teacher by trade, and the wife of a Marine Corps colonel, I think. He's an officer, Madam President. That's okay. That's okay. Tara represents Stafford, Fredericksburg, and Spotsylvania, having previously served in the House of Delegates, and we won't hold that against her either. Since beginning public service, she's been a champion for behavioral health, public safety, and education. And she's going to continue to prioritize those efforts and best serve her district and the Commonwealth, particularly on these issues that she's passionate about. 20 years ago, she came to Virginia with her husband, I believe to Quantico, as he was a Marine, and they've lived there ever since. And it's been my pleasure to get to know and be a friend to Tara and her family. She's raised her children there, Lindsay, Teddy, and Coco, and really become a strong member of the community in Stafford County. She volunteers for everything. She is a member and active participant at St. Mary's Catholic Church. And I will tell you that Tara is a conservative, and she's an outstanding legislator, and she's going to be an outstanding member of this body. We are very fortunate to have her here, and I hope that you all will welcome my friend, Senator Tara Durant.
Chair now recognizes Senator Obenshain, senator from Rockingham.
Madam President, I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, members of the Senate, I rise to introduce to the body the new senator for Senate District 1. And while I was going to be more tempered in my introduction, my seatmate has egged me on. And I will tell you that last year, I was sitting right where the senator from Franklin County was sitting, and I got a text message from somebody back in the Shenandoah Valley saying that my friend Timmy French had announced that he was going to run for Senate in Senate District 1. And my seatmate at the time was Senator from Fauquier, Jill Vogel, who sat where Senator Reeves was sitting. And she says, "No way, that's the first boy I ever kissed." But I will also tell you that Senator French has a unique way of securing election in Shenandoah County. He is from Shenandoah County, and I will tell you that there is nobody in Shenandoah County who you could possibly talk to who is not related to or knows or lives next door to a member of the French family. Timmy French is, his dad, who I knew, was one of 8 children. And all of those 8, I think they all, lived all their lives in Shenandoah County. And they were very active in civic affairs. Timmy, his dad, Timmy was one of 9 children in the family. And if you wonder how he built his grassroots base, he has 42 nieces and nephews, and he has 120 first cousins or first cousins once removed, most of whom live in Shenandoah County. And he sent me the most magnificent picture of the Thanksgiving Day celebration at the family home place, and the spread was bigger than any church covered dish dinner that you have ever been to, and I would wager it was better. Timmy started his career as a field service rep for a ag business, basically providing agricultural extension services on a private basis to farmers throughout the Shenandoah Valley. And Timmy, if you didn't know, he's a farm boy. Timmy operates a 3,000-acre family farm. He milks 120 cattle and runs 520 beef cattle. He also has 4 poultry houses, and you might be interested to know that they raise chickens for Chick-fil-A. So they are really good chickens. And, oh, yeah, Ryan McDougall definitely subsidizes that operation. Timmy is proud father of 3 children, Tyler, Tab, and Trey. He is joined here today by Heather Lockery and by his brother-in-law, my friend, retired Judge Billy Logan. I hope that the members of the Senate will join me in extending a very warm welcome to our new colleague, the senator from the 1st Senate District in Virginia, also in the gentle fold in the palm of God's hand that is the Shenandoah Valley, Timmy French.
Chair now recognizes Senator Suetterlein, the senator from Roanoke County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. It's with great honor that I get to introduce the new senator from Botetourt County, previously Delegate, now Senator Chris Head. And I've got to know Senator Head for a long time, and I'm going to make sure I don't call him Delegate Head because I hate when people do that. But I've known him in that capacity for so long as he's done a great job representing our community. He's very active in the business and civic and philanthropic community in the Roanoke Valley. He's joined today by his wife and business partner, Betsy Head, and their son, Michael. Michael is a graduate of Fork Union, which is one of the many places the heads put their time and treasure, and they are significant supporters of that historic school here in the Commonwealth. They're also great supporters of the church and several Christian charities in the Roanoke Valley, the arts, the symphony. I always know exactly where the heads are going to be whenever the Roanoke Symphony has a show. They will be there, so we don't schedule anything against that if we want them to attend. He is a musician by education. You will likely get to hear his great voice belting out the national anthem and hymns and other things as well, but those are the two things I've heard the most. The business that Senator Head and Mrs. Head have successfully run for several years is one that helps seniors stay in their homes. So they have a great heart for helping the elderly and helping them stay as close to their family and in the community that they love. And they've been able to make a successful business while providing that care to people. That also goes into one of the great charitable efforts. Every year you will see them on TV or hear them on radio about being a Santa to a senior. And so sometimes it'll be early December and I'll hear Mrs. Head or Senator Head's voice on something, and I know that it's getting to that time for that. And I'll just tell you one quick story about the first time he ran for office, which I think people in this room will appreciate. He has a brother in Georgia who's also been a successful attorney and won office there. And he was so happy that his brother was running for office. And he said, I'm all for you. I'll give you whatever the maximum contribution in Virginia is. And he said, well, I got some news for you. But his brother was still very generous with him and did not go bankrupt that day, which, of course, he could have. But I'm just so happy to get to have Senator Head here. I'll get to represent the Roanoke Valley with him. Senator Obenchain will get to represent part of the southern Shenandoah with him. And Senator Deeds will get to represent some of the areas just west of Charlottesville together in the Allegheny Highlands that he's got so much affection for. And in a great district with wonderful people. And I hope you all join me in welcoming Senator Chris Head.
Chair now recognizes Senator Pillion, the senator from Washington.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my privilege, while I don't know who her first kiss was with, it is still my privilege to welcome and introduce to this esteemed body Senator Emily Jordan from the 17th District. Like myself and many others, Senator Jordan saw the light and now has made the pilgrimage to the other end of the Capitol, where she began serving the people of the 64th House District in 2018. A lifetime resident of Western Tidewater and Southside, Senator Jordan has worked tirelessly to protect the values that many of her constituents hold so dear. As a child of adoption, she has made improving Virginia's adoption and foster care system her top priority. Her work on this issue is a true labor of love that I know we can all admire. Senator Jordan is an accomplished business owner operating a successful wine and craft beer shop in Suffolk, and I'm sure she'll be glad to share her contact information with each of you as the session lingers. Join with us today are members of Senator Jordan's family. On the floor is her husband, Andy Jordan, and in the gallery are her parents-in-law, Joanna and Henry Deal. Please join me in welcoming them and the new senator from Isle of Wight into the Senate.
Senator McDougall, the senator from Hanover.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, rise for the purposes of an introduction.
The senator may continue.
Madam President, it's my pleasure to introduce a gentleman from Goochland County who I've known for many years, but I knew his brother long before. His brother, Rusty, was a member of Hanover County, and was in the Attorney General's office and now is the Commonwealth's Attorney in Louisa, and introduced me to John. John is truly an inspirational individual. As a child, John spent many years bouncing between different foster care families and actually attended 9 different elementary schools along the way. But John overcame some of the challenges through that time, being raised by his grandparents, and went on to serve our country as a Navy SEAL for 10 years. After that service, John has had a tremendously successful business. Many of us could probably use this SEAL team physical training. He's been doing that for almost a quarter of a century now. And he's also served in the House Delegates since 2018. John is joined today with his family, Tracy, his wife, and his 2 sisters, April and Peggy. Welcome to the Senate, John.
Senator Sturvell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it's my pleasure to introduce to you all the senator who took my old Senate district, number 36, the new senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Stella Pekarsky. There's not a single person that's run for office in this room who hasn't run to say that they're working to ensure the success for future generations and for people to have opportunities. The difference between us and Senator Pekarsky is that she's actually lived it. As the oldest child in a Greek American working class immigrant family, Stella knew from an early age that education was important to her. It wasn't easy. English was actually not her first language. She grew up bilingual, speaking English and Greek, and early in school, she had to navigate that, which is why she's such a strong advocate for English as a second language programs in our schools. After graduating and getting married, she went to George Mason University using a combination of part-time jobs and scholarships. She graduated in 3 years. Then she went on to get a master's degree in multicultural and multilingual education. She became an ESOL teacher. She also was an active PTA parent in her schools, and she became PTA president in several of her children's schools. She also went on to co-run a private aviation charter business with her husband at the same time. In 2020, she was elected to the Fairfax County School Board, which dealt with huge challenges. As soon as she got elected, we had this thing called a pandemic. She also had to choose a superintendent and a lot of other political issues that we're all familiar with here. And she also ran a $3.5 billion budget. Not a small budget in Fairfax County. Another interesting thing about Senator Pekarsky is that you could actually staff an entire hockey team with her children. She's the mother of 6 children, and as the mother of 6, she knows that raising kids can be a full contact sport. And unfortunately, you can actually staff a basketball team plus a coach with that and some subs as well. So Stella Pekarsky is going to be a wonderful addition to our caucus, wonderful resource on education, great advocate for our area, and I would hope everybody in the Senate would give her the warm welcome of the Senate as she joins us here. Thank you.
Chair now recognizes the senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise for purposes of an introduction.
The senator may say on.
Thank you, Madam President. Today, I'd like to introduce the body to the new junior senator from Loudoun County, Russet Perry. Russet's representing the 31st Senate District, and that includes parts of Loudoun County, the northern part of Fauquier County, and a small part of Great Falls. Russet has attended George Washington University and graduated with 2 degrees, summa cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa. So she's definitely very dedicated and very smart. And she took a job in Loudoun County to assist her in financing her law degree at Georgetown. But while she was at Georgetown, in the Georgetown Law Center, she represented D.C. residents in mediation and in seeking protective orders from abusive relationships. She went on to continue her work. She became a prosecutor in the Loudoun County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, and she prosecuted everything from domestic assault to elder abuse to felony assault to murder. She was also deeply involved in starting up and serving on the Mental Health Drug Court. This is something we had all advocated for many years as lawmakers. And finally, but not the last song in her journey, she was a CIA officer and received multiple awards for her service to the CIA. So with that, I'm very proud and very honored to introduce you all to Russet Perry. I hope you join me in welcoming Russet Perry to this body. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from Prince William, the senior senator, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the privilege today to introduce the Senator Danica Rome from Western Prince William, born in Prince William and raised there, attending Loch Lomond Elementary School, All Saints, Paul IV Catholic High School in Fairfax, and went on to pursue a degree in journalism at St. Bonaventure University in New York. And after graduating, Senator Rome returned to Virginia, working as a journalist at the Gainesville Times and Prince William Times. And as a side note, Madam President, I have to say that's when I met Senator Rome almost a decade ago as a journalist. And I will share with you that was the absolutely brutal grilling of a reporter I have ever received. And that is not a challenge to other members of the media that may be present. Senator Rome built a really tough reputation of asking and digging into the tough questions. They also proceeded to continue to work as a news editor in Montgomery County, the Centennial in Rockville, Maryland. And because of a lot of that tenacious work, it was awarded the Virginia Press Association 7 different awards over her tenure. And I think that base of knowledge really set the framework for the policy work outside of a pretty heavy depth of metal bands. So as a side note, if you want a discussion, that's the senator to go chat with. But that basis in reporting and journalism really led the foundation of their work, leading to the election to the House of Delegates in 2017 and serving in the House up until this point and becoming a relentless champion for, of course, Route 28 and, of course, for feeding kids in our schools, and has led that effort to service now in the Senate District 30. And, Madam President, it's my great pleasure to introduce Senator Danica Rome.
Chair now recognizes Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my distinct privilege to introduce Senator Saddam Aslan Salim, who is joining us in this body. Senator Salim is a first-generation immigrant born in Bangladesh, and his personal story is a remarkable and inspiring one. When he was just a small child, he and his family experienced severe drought and then the devastation of an extreme and long-lasting flood, the flood of the century in Bangladesh. His father then brought his family to America in 2000 so that his children could get a world-class education and a better life. Only a year later, his family was evicted because the building in which they lived was then sold to be turned into luxury condos. Then, homeless on the streets of D.C., Saddam watched his belongings as they were put on the side of the road and taken away by strangers. And at that time, he and his siblings did not speak any English, so they didn't understand what was happening. A family friend took them in, and they lived in basements in Falls Church, Virginia, for 2 years until they were at last eligible for the county's low-income affordable housing program. And during this time, both of his parents worked incredibly hard at minimum wage jobs and relied on public transportation to get to work. Saddam's father worked at a popular local restaurant for more than 20 years, working his way up from a dishwasher to head chef. They used the community health center so that the family could get the health care that they needed, including a diagnosis for a reproductive condition that his mother had struggled with for many years. Saddam and his siblings attended Falls Church High School, where he was a track and field athlete, president of his class, and a recipient of the John Morse Athletic Scholarship. And during his senior year, his mother required surgery, and due to the financial constraints imposed by his parents' reliance on minimum wage jobs, Saddam made the decision to forego full scholarships from prestigious institutions and opted instead to stay at home and support his family. He enrolled at other prestigious universities and colleges, Northern Virginia Community College, and pursued his studies also at George Mason University. And with the help of community health care, his mother's surgery was a success. This affordable education at Northern Virginia Community College and GMU allowed him to get a college education while also helping at home and giving back to his community. He graduated from GMU in 2012 with a Bachelor of Science in Public Administration and later with a Master's in Public Administration with a concentration in public and nonprofit finance. And so today, Saddam works as a financial consultant advising federal clients, and he's been very active in his community as a leader of political and business associations. Saddam believes in public service because he has seen the real effects of affordable housing, health care, education, and community support on his own life's journey. Saddam Salim won his first election this past June at just 33 years old, and he won the Democratic nomination for the new 37th Senate District. He was elected in November on a promise to fight for Virginia's future. He is currently the youngest member of our body, and notably, he is also the first Bangladeshi American to be elected to any office in Virginia and the second Muslim to join our body. So please join me today in welcoming our new senator from Central Fairfax County, Saddam Salim.
Chair now recognizes the senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purposes of an introduction.
The senator may continue.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the body, I have what is an important honor, because what we're doing here today in this introduction is welcoming someone back. This gentleman missed Madam Clerk so much, he had to come back. He had to fight his way back to come here. It wasn't an easy job. And we remember what he went up against to get here. And we are grateful. Those who know, know. Ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman from Chesterfield is joined today by his beautiful and patient wife, Lori, and their 4 children. 2 of them are with us here on the floor, Emily and Noah, and 2 of them are in the gallery, Ethan and Reed. Glenn, as you may know, and those who are new to the place would not know, once sat in this chamber as a senator in 2015. And as I said before, he wanted to come back really, really bad. In fact, his campaign slogan was, "Please let Glenn do it again." Glenn, you might know, is a little bit of an overachiever. He was a Boy Scout, but he couldn't be just a Boy Scout. He had to be an Eagle Scout. Some may call Glenn a goody two-shoes. Well, everybody calls Glenn a goody two-shoes. But he's got an incredible family and a really incredible life. Growing up in a middle-class family in Spotsylvania County, working at a grocery store. He went to college. His wife became a teacher, and then she put him through law school. So you owe her big time. And I'm just going to ask her to blink twice as she's being held against her will right now and needs us to bring the Capitol Police here. But she is a lovely, beautiful woman, and he is very lucky to have her. After college, of course, he prosecuted for a while. Then he went to the dark side and became a defense attorney. But you know, one of the interesting things about Glenn is that he does free pro bono, what we call in the law, pro bono representation of those that have been subjected to a tragedy. That just shows, I believe, the character and integrity of someone like Glenn Sturtevant and why he is here and why he will do the best things for the people that he serves. He got interested in public schools, serving on the Richmond School Board, starting a not-for-profit that would benefit our public school system. He does what he says. And he's a man of great, as I said, character and integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Put your hands together for the return of the gentleman from Chesterfield representing the 12th Senate District, Glenn Sturtevant.
Senator Marsden, the senior senator from Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Senator Suhas Subramaniam. And let me tell you how effective this man is. He comes to us from 4 years in the House, but he's been on this chamber floor for less than an hour, and already he's the senior senator from Loudoun County. That's pretty good. But he was in the House of Delegates for 4 years, as was I, and as were many people on this chamber floor. But we don't hold that against us, those of us who served in the House. It's great to come over here and be with the big kids. And we have a lot of work to do, and it's just great to have Suhas here. I first got to know him. I was invited to an event right when he was first starting out by Robbie Mook. Now, many of you may not know Robbie, but he ran my first campaign. He ran Terry McAuliffe's campaign, Jean Shaheen in New Hampshire, and Hillary Clinton as well. That didn't quite turn out as well as this side of the aisle would have liked. But if Robbie Mook was out here telling me that this is the kind of guy we want in elected office in Virginia, boy, that's good enough for me. And it has just been fantastic to work with him over the years. He is an attorney. He works with technical startups, technical company startups. And here we are entering an era where we're getting involved in artificial intelligence. Our world is changing, and the fabric of this body has always been established by the variety of career paths and personal paths that people have tread, to get here. And this is how we do things. And to have someone with that kind of technical background is just phenomenal to have on this floor. He is married to his wife, Miranda. He has 2 children. Age 3 is Maya. Age 2 is Nina. And I think it is just going to be an incredible addition to this body. And I would ask that we give a warm Senate welcome to the new senior senator from Loudoun County, Suhas Subramaniam.
Chair recognizes Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to welcome a new member to the Senate.
Senator has the floor.
It is my honor, Madam President, members of the body, to welcome the junior senator from Henrico, Senator Schuyler von Valkenburg. He's not a stranger to this building, having first been elected to the House in 2017, and he's proven to be an effective and able legislator working to improve our education system and to protect voting rights for all Virginians. Senator von Valkenburg was instrumental in our recent efforts to boost literacy and education funding. And on a personal level, I think he is as optimistic, effervescent, and good-humored as anyone who you'll meet in this building. I first worked with him on legislation to stop suspension of professional licenses for those who fall behind on a student loan payment. And then he worked with Senator Bill Diestaff on legislation to ban unfair non-compete agreements, showing that he'll work with someone from the extreme side of this aisle or the extreme side of that aisle to get things done, regardless where they sit. During his time in the other body, Schuyler chaired the House Elections Subcommittee and worked to make it easier for Virginians to have their voices heard at the ballot box. He passed legislation to require ballot drop-off boxes and create the permanent absentee list in Virginia that so many Virginians used this past November. And with his leadership, Virginia moved from the 49th most difficult state to vote in to the 10th easiest in the nation. And you don't have to take my word alone about his virtues. I'm going to quote one of my favorite publications, the conservative online blog Bacon's Rebellion, that once said that Schuyler was a school teacher who is an occasional voice of lucidity in the Democratic Party. Schuyler is a civics teacher at Glen Ellen High School, where he's been inspiring the next generation to be engaged in government and the community. And he's joined today in the chamber by his son Caden and his daughters Elliot and Hollis. And the von Valkenburg kids attend politic with their dad at many community events, especially during Ramadan, where they enjoy the spicy food at many iftars. So please join me now in welcoming our new colleague, Schuyler von Valkenburg.
The junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator may continue.
I have the distinct honor and privilege to introduce my long-standing friend, the new senator from District 21, Senator Angela Williams Graves. Senator Graves was born and raised in Norfolk. She graduated from St. Mary's Academy and Booker T. Washington High School. She graduated from Tidewater Community College and from Old Dominion University with degrees in business administration and marketing. She also graduated from the University of Virginia's Sorensen Institute in Political Leadership and in the Alpha School of Real Estate. Angela has been a licensed real estate agent since 2008 and is the principal broker and owner of Homes by Angela Realty and Property Management Company. She served in the Virginia House of Delegates, representing the 90th District in 2021. Angela was previously elected to the Norfolk City Council from 2010 to 2021 and served as the city's vice mayor from 2014 to 2016. She is a proud member of Grove Baptist Church, and she is married to Tommy Graves, owner of Graves Funeral Home, and has 2 bonus sons. So, just a recap. She was born and raised in Norfolk. She's a very proud PK, that's preacher's kid. She's an alumni of Tidewater Community College and Old Dominion University. She served 10 years on Norfolk City Council and 3 years in the House. And she's also married to Tommy Graves, a member of the 1979 Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl championship team. Yes, go NFL. She's also joined today by her sister, Pam Constellanos. Please excuse me if I misspoke on that. And her nephew, Brian Constellanos, in addition to her Super Bowl champ for her husband. Please rise to celebrate our new senator from Norfolk, Angela Williams Graves.
Welcome, senators. Welcome, welcome. A true feat indeed. Thank you for wanting to serve this great Commonwealth, its residents. And thank you for the sacrifices that you've already made and that you will continue to make. Thank you. And we thank your family for giving us you because it does take quite a bit to be the senator in Virginia. So thank you, and now we will be temporarily at ease as our guests leave the floor. Oh, we have a message from the House. Sergeant at Arms.
Madam President, the delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Good afternoon, Madam President. I've been directed by the Speaker of the House of Delegates to inform the Senate that the House of Delegates is duly organized and ready to proceed to business. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. And now, returning back to business, the families and other guests, we will be temporarily at ease as you leave the floor. Thank you. Senator Locke.
Madam President, I would like to call up Senate Resolution 3, Rules of the Senate.
Being procedural, Senator Sulai. Being procedural, the resolution will be taken up for immediate consideration. The clerk will report the resolution.
Senate Resolution 3, establishing the rules of the Senate.
The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Madam President, I move that the resolution be agreed to.
The question is,
Madam President, rise for the purposes of
Senator McDougall. The question is, shall Senate Resolution number 3 be agreed to? All in favor of agreeing to the resolution? Will the senator wish to explain Senate Rule 3?
Oh, absolutely, ma'am.
The senator has the floor.
Each of you should have a pink sheet that gives an explanation of the 2024 proposed rules changes, 1 through 12, that explains all of the changes that have been made to the rules, the most significant change being rule number 6, which changes the name of the Committee on the Judiciary back to the Committee for Courts of Justice. There are some editorial changes being made. It adds cannabis to the subjects to be considered by the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services. It adds work groups to the subjects to be considered by the Committee on Rules, and that's being added because there's been a proliferation of work groups that are being established instead of normally there are studies that are normally studied that are established to be given consideration, but there's been over the course of years a proliferation of work groups, and we want to make sure that we're giving due consideration and oversight of these work groups, and those will be sent to the Committee on Rules for due consideration. And again, there are a number of technical changes being added to these rules.
The question is, shall Senate Rule number 3 be agreed to? All in favor of agreeing to the resolution will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The resolution is agreed to. The next order of business is the election of officers of the Senate. The first is the election of the President pro tempore of the Senate to serve for a term of 4 years. The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I nominate L. Louise Lucas of Portsmouth for the office of President pro tempore of the Senate. And I would like to give an explanation of why I want to do that.
The senator has the floor.
Last time I closed the nomination on Senator Lucas, and this time there were several people on this floor who don't know the history of my relationship with the dear senator. When I first ran for the Senate back in 2003, my dear seatmate supported my opponent. And so after I won, I didn't talk to her for a while. Actually, it was a long time that I did not speak with her. So she cornered me in the restroom, back here, as a matter of fact. And so, and she said, well, you need to talk to me. I said, no, I don't have to talk to you. And so she said, well, we need to talk and we need to get along. I said, I suggest that you move out of my way. And so it took a while, for us to get to be the bosom buddies that we are right now. And so my second story about Senator Lucas is 2 weeks before she passed away, Senator Yvonne Miller called us to her house to have a conversation with her. And she said to us, well, she said specifically to me, I need for you to look after Senator Lucas. Loudmouth over here says, Senator Miller, I'm 10 years older than her. And Senator Miller looked at me and she said, like I said, I need for you to look after Senator Lucas. And I say to Senator Miller, do you understand the burden that you're putting on me? And the task that that's going to be for me. But it has indeed been a task, looking after this person who is my seatmate. So periodically you all may see me reach over and say, you don't want to do that. Don't say that. Don't say that. So it's a privilege for me to place in nomination the name of L. Louise Lucas to serve as the President Pro Tem of the Senate.
Chair recognizes the senator from Hanover, Senator McDougall.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise to second the motion.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, it was my honor that Senator Lucas asked if I would considering seconding the motion. And as I went through and I asked my loquacious seatmate, what should I say about Senator Lucas? He came up with some things I'm not going to repeat on the floor today. But one of the things that I think we'd all agree, Senator Lucas dresses sharper than any of her tweets. I just think it's incredible. Senator Lucas has been a member with us for more decades than we'd like to remember now, but she has an incredible history from being a pipe fitter, small businesswoman, elected individual in local government before being here. But in addition to that, she's been a force in the Senate. She's an individual that Republicans and Democrats can both work with, a person that we can actually have fun and enjoy time with outside of this body. And I am privileged to call her not only a colleague, but a friend. Thank you for agreeing to do this again, Senator Lucas. She's joined by some of the longtime friends and family. Connie is up there in the gallery. Her daughter, Lisa Louise Lucas Burke, her granddaughter, her Delta sister, and her LA. They are really proud of her. Thank you, Senator Lucas, and it's our privilege that you will continue to serve as the President Pro Tem of the Senate.
Chair now recognizes the senator from Charlottesville, Senator Deeds.
Madam President, I move that the nominations be closed, and just like a brief word.
The senator may continue.
Senator Lucas was initially elected from Senate District 18. I was initially elected on the very same day from House District 18. So we've been fast friends for many years. And I will just add the one thing that the Senator from Hanover forgot is that we all fear Senator Lucas. She is a force to be reckoned with.
Without objection, the nominations are closed. All in favor of L. Louise Lucas of Portsmouth for President Pro Tempore of the Senate will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. L. Louise Lucas of Portsmouth is duly declared and elected the President pro tempore of the Senate. The next order of business is the election of the clerk of the Senate to serve for a term of 4 years. The senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Madam President, I'd like to place into nomination the name of Susan Clark Shaw as the clerk of the Senate of Virginia. And I have a lot of things to say, and the time will not permit. So I just have a little short script here, and I just try to stick to this.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. As was stated, I have been here longer than anybody else, and that's the reason why I'm going to have a #1 license plate this year. So with that, I've got to say to you that the person who was here when I got here was Madam Clerk Susan Clark Shaw. I learned a lot from Susan, as most of you probably should if you want to stay out of trouble. Listen to Mother Clark, and you'll stay out of trouble. But I can tell you, when I got to the Senate of Virginia, there was no ladies' restroom. That door where Deputy Clerk is standing used to be the Lieutenant Governor's office. And so the women of the floor of the Senate had to leave this chamber to go to a restroom. So Madam Clerk said, we're going to fix that. Well, I'm not sure that met with the satisfaction of the Lieutenant Governor, but it very quickly became the ladies' restroom. And there was another thing that was prevalent on the floor of the Senate when I arrived. Women were not allowed to wear pantsuits. Were not allowed to wear slacks. So Madam Clerk pulled together the leadership from the right and the leadership from the left and said, we have to have a provision for women to wear slacks, to wear pantsuits, because it was very cold in here back during those days. But another thing is, and maybe I shouldn't be so proud to say this, there was a little disturbance on the floor of the Senate. And the Senate clerk says, you are going to have to take this off the floor. It does not meet with the decorum of this body. And I don't know if there's anybody here who remembers that except for Cree, maybe. She resolves all issues. Just know you that. But the Senate clerk has a unique capability of being able to store anything that's old and make it look like brand new. As a matter of fact, she is responsible for the renovation of the Capitol and the extension. So when you leave out this door and you go into Bank Street and you walk through to the Capitol, all of that renovation took place with the guidance of our clerk, Susan Clark Shaw. But not only that, when we got ready to move to a bigger project, and we had to move to renovation of the new General Assembly building, all of that was under the supervision of Susan Clark Shaw, our clerk. When it came to e-filing and technology here in the Senate of Virginia, the person who was responsible for that is our clerk, Susan Clark Shaw. And so it is without any reservation, any hesitation, and with a great deal of respect and love that I place into nomination the name of Susan Clark Shaw as the clerk of the Senate of Virginia.
Chair recognizes the senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise to second the nomination of Susan Clark Shaw for the office of clerk.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, Senator Lucas stole some of my thunder, but there's still a few things left. Madam Shaw has been with this body for 50 years. 50 years that she's been here, and she's been clerk for 30.
She has seen a lot of changes in her time, changes that have moved Virginia and this body forward. In addition to her work of the Capitol and the Extension and the General Assembly building, she was the clerk that presided over Queen Elizabeth's visit to the Commonwealth many years ago that we remember. She has been distinguished not only here in Virginia, but she's been the chairman of the National Council of State Legislatures in the staff section and did a tremendous job leading other clerks across the country. She has been the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Wilder School of Government and Public Affairs, and she was also named the YMCA Richmond's 2019 Outstanding Woman Award in Law and Government. Madam Clerk has done a very good job leading the Senate and has put together an incredible staff. Her team is just beats every other one. We like our friends down the hall, but the Senate staff is absolutely incredible and does a great job for all of us. She is joined, I think I saw Bill up in the gallery looking down, making sure that she's staying in line, and we're thankful for her willingness to be with us again for yet one more session. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Chair recognizes Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the nominations be closed.
Without objection, the nomination is closed. All in favor of Susan Clark Shark for clerk of the Senate will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. Susan Clark Shar is declared duly elected clerk of the Senate to serve for a term of 4 years. The oath of office will be administered by the Honorable Cleo E. Powell, Justice of the Supreme Court of Virginia.
Yes.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Susan Clark Shar,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge
all of the duties incumbent upon me
all of the duties incumbent upon me
as Clerk of the Senate of Virginia
as Clerk of the Senate of Virginia
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
We have now come to the operating resolution of the Senate. Chair again recognizes Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the rules be suspended, the Committee on Rules be discharged from further consideration, the readings of the title be waived, and Senate Resolution 2 be taken up for immediate consideration.
The question is, shall the rules be discharged? Shall the rules be suspended and the Committee on Rules be discharged from further consideration, the reading of the title be waived, and Senate Resolution number 2 be taken up for immediate consideration? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The rules are suspended. The readings are waived, and Senate Resolution number 2 is taken up for immediate consideration. The clerk will report the resolution.
Senate Resolution 2, 2024 session, operating resolution. This is in the yellow folder on your desk.
The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the resolution be agreed to. This is our operating resolution, which addresses salaries and per diem for the session.
The question is, shall the resolution be agreed to? All in favor of agreeing to the resolution will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The resolution is agreed to. We have come now to the organization of the Senate. Chair recognizes the senator from Eastern Fairfax County. The senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Sorreville, will advise the House of Delegates that the Senate is duly organized and ready to proceed to business. The Senate will be temporarily at ease. The gentleman has returned. Being procedural, the resolution will be taken up for immediate consideration. The clerk will report the resolution.
House Joint Resolution number 47, notifying the governor of organization. Resolved by the House of Delegates, the Senate concurring, that a committee be appointed composed of 6 on the part of the House of Delegates and 5 on the part of the Senate to notify the governor that the General Assembly is duly organized and is ready to receive any communication he may desire to make.
The question is, shall the resolution number 47 be agreed to? All in favor of agreeing to the resolution will say aye. Those opposed, no. The resolution is agreed to. Again, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Surville, will inform the House of Delegates of the actions of the Senate. And once again, the Senate will be at ease until the gentleman safely returns.
This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
The senator having duly returned, pursuant to the foregoing resolution, the chair appoints the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas, the senator from Hampton, Senator Locke, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Surville, and the senator from Rockingham County, Senator Obenshain, the senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal, as the committee on the part of the Senate, together with the members of the House, to inform the governor that the General Assembly is duly organized and ready to receive any communication he may desire to make. The Senate will be at ease until the committee returns from the governor's office. Chair recognizes the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas. I believe you're going to tell us what happened when you met with the governor on the organization.
Madam President, the committee appointed to inform the governor of the organization of the General Assembly wishes to report that they have performed the duties assigned to them and that the governor would be pleased to address a joint assembly of the legislature.
Thank you, Senator. Committee nominations report is now in order. The chair recognizes the senator from Hampton, Senator Locke, for the purpose of presenting the committee nominations report.
Thank you, Madam President. I request that the committee nominations report on the Senate standing committees be taken up.
The clerk will read the report.
(2024) Senate Standing Committees. Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources. Senators Marsden, Chair, Obenshain, Stewart, Stanley, Suderline, Favola, Hashmi, Hackworth, Rome, William Graves, Perry, Pekarsky, French, Salim, and a vacancy. Commerce and Labor. Deeds, Chair, Obenshain, Lucas, Marsden, Eben, Saravel, Stanley, McDougall, Locke, Reeves, DeSteff, McPike, Peake, Rouse, and Bagby. Courts of Justice. Senator Saravel, Chair, Obenshain, McDougall, Deeds, Stewart, Stanley, Boysko, Peake, Bagby, Jordan, Aird, Subramanian, Carol Foy, Perry, and Salim. Education and Health. Senators Hashmi, Chair, Lucas, Locke, Suderline, Peake, Pillion, Favola, Boysko, Bagby, Head, Aird, Van Valkenburg, Durant, Pekarsky, and Craig. Finance and Appropriations. Senator Lucas, Chair, Deeds, Locke, Marsden, Eben, McDougall, Obenshain, Stewart, Reeves, Favola, Saravel, McPike, Boysko, Pillion, and Hashmi. General Laws and Technology. Senator Evans, Chair, Locke, Reeves, McPike, Pillion, Rouse, Head, Jordan, Aird, Van Valkenburg, Rome, Subramanian, Carol Foy, French, and Craig. Local Government, McPike, Chair, Stanley, Suderline, Bagby, Sturdivant, McGuire, Aird, Van Valkenburg, Rome, Subramanian, William Graves, Durant, Diggs, Pekarsky, and a vacancy. Privileges and Elections. Senator Rouse, Chair, Deeds, Eben, Hackworth, DeSteff, Sturdivant, McGuire, Van Valkenburg, Subramanian, Carol Foy, Durant, Perry, Diggs, Salim, and a vacancy. Rehabilitation and Social Services. Senator Favola, Chair, McDougall, Reeves, Saravel, DeSteff, Rouse, Head, Jordan, Van Valkenburg, Williams Graves, Carol Foy, Perry, French, Salim, and Craig. Transportation. Senator Boysko, Chair, Marsden, DeSteff, Suderline, Obenshain, Hashmi, Hackworth, Bagby, Sturdivant, McGuire, Aird, Rome, Williams, Graves, Diggs, and Pekarsky. Rules. Senator Locke, Chair, Lucas, Deeds, Marsden, Favola, Eben, McPike, Saravel, Boysko, Hashmi, Rouse, McDougall, Stewart, Peake, and Pillion.
Chair recognizes the senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Madam President, I move that the committee nominations report be adopted.
Would the senator like to explain? Any? Senator McDougal, the senator from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise to speak to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the resolution, I want to thank my colleagues, particularly Senator from Hampton, for the conversations we've had. They've been gracious and one that I think is indicative of the cooperation that we have in the Senate of being able to talk through matters. One of the things that we have talked internally as Republicans, in addition to talking with our Democratic friends, is the way forward of this body and how, and one of the most important pieces of that are committees. As we look at history, there have been some times where Republicans have been in control, Democrats have been in control, and Senator Deeds and Lucas also remember some time where it was even, where there were some very evenly divided matters. As we look at Virginia and we look at this body and we are at 21-19, we are fairly close to even. That being said, we are very cognizant of the fact that this body rules with the 21st Amendment, and that is the person who has 21 votes makes the rules. We are appreciative of the fact that the committees are better and more proportional than they have been over the last 4 years. That is a step forward, and as I have told many of my Democratic colleagues, I would say publicly, we are committed not to taking steps back in the future. Proportionality is the direction that this body, we believe and are committed to moving forward. But I think I would be remiss in not expressing some disappointment that the committees are not totally proportional. A step forward, but we're not there yet, particularly on the Finance Committee. And as we move forward and continue to have conversations, I hope that the Senate will move closer toward actual proportionality, and those committees would be more even in their number. So I thank the courtesies of my colleagues across the aisle for sharing this with us earlier today before we got here. Those courtesies were not always in place from Republicans and Democrats, and I appreciate that. That is truly a step forward as we try to work for Virginia. But a larger step forward needs to be taken to make sure that committees are proportional and all at 8-7 in the future.
Chair recognizes Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the resolution.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And I just want to say on behalf of our caucus, we appreciate the comments from the senator from Hanover as well. One of the special things about the Senate is it doesn't operate the same way as the body down the hall does. And going forward, we both have to have a level of trust and collaboration as we work together to get good policy. And the last, not only 24 hours, but I'd say the last month and a half since the election, we've been having good dialogue, and I think is evidenced by the fact of how quickly things have gone today and a few other things. And we appreciate you all, the recognition you've given us on the changes we've made in these committees, which are not something we had to do, but we think it's something that we should have done for the good of the body, not just for this year, but also for future sessions and future elections and the future things that make the Senate as strong as it does today. So thank you for your comments.
Chair recognizes Senator Stanley, the senator from Franklin County.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, members of the Senate, as we form up and we start to do the work that is required of us in Virginia, I'm reminded also, too, when I first came here, and to be quite frank, my memory is that the Republicans did the out of whack in terms of the numbers of the committees first. We reap what we sow, and down the line, it has become that way, back and forth, no matter who is in power. So I join the senator from Hanover in saying thank you for that consideration and the conversation, as I also had conversations. But as I sit here today, I'm sitting in the seat of one of the finest senators ever to sit in this chamber and serve. He would have been here had not he is fighting now the largest fight of his life. Senator Frank Ruff, the gentleman from Mecklenburg County. Had he been here, he would be the ranking member on the Senate Finance Committee. I want to thank him, and I take this very seriously, sitting in the seat of Southside, because he was a giant of a man. As he fights, I know he'll win, but he fought for our region in ways that no other could. My friend from Hanover says I'm loquacious. I can't spell loquacious, but I think I know what he means. As the senator from Lynchburg says, I talk a lot. The senator from Mecklenburg was a man of few words, but of a lot of action. And what he did was, what we tend to do is that he fought for people in his region, workforce development, education, better educational opportunities. I used to say that government has never created a private sector job, but Frank Ruff is as close as you can get to that. And yet he does not sit in this seat today. But he sat on finance, and he represented Southside Virginia. And Southside Virginia is a large swath of land close to the Carolina border. Geographically, it far outpaces Northern Virginia or Hampton Roads in terms of square mileage. Where they're more populated, we have more geography. And so it's a large representation of the Commonwealth that we've lost. But we've lost not only Frank Ruff, and I tell him today, if he's listening, Godspeed. We're all praying for him, and we're fighting the fight right alongside him. But if I must share any disappointment in the picking of these committees, it is only this, and I mean it respectfully, is that there is no representation on the Finance Committee from anyone from Southside Virginia. A lot of times we break up into, it's not partisanship. If you haven't been here before, you're going to find partisanship happens really rarely and occasionally. And it's usually dealt with very quickly. But regionalism is a much bigger issue. And so having Frank, the ranking member of Senate Finance, and losing Frank and all that institutional knowledge, and not having someone from Southside Virginia, respectfully, is disappointing, as I remember the greatness of Frank Ruff, who has served this body so well today. Thank you, Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Sudeline, the senator from Roanoke County.
Thank you, Madam President. Speak to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And it's nice to be able to see you and see we've got some nice artwork over there, and I can now finally see most of my Democrat colleagues. When I was in the corner for so long, I'd see what the vote was and just have to take it on faith that there were people over there. So it's good to see everyone. This report is better than what was operating under the previous 4 years, but it's still not right. And just because it's better still doesn't make it right. In the U.S. Senate, they operate under proportionality. It's a very narrowly held body, and they have very narrowly held committees. In the U.S. House of Representatives, which we're constantly reminded how narrowly held that is right now, they also have proportionality. And it's been pointed out that we don't operate the same way as our friends down the hall. And that's true, because since 1998, through Speakers Wilkins, Howe, Cox, Filler-Corn, Gilbert, and it's my understanding now Speaker Scott, have all followed proportionality. They've been able to switch parties over and over again. And here in this chamber, We don't. And today, we have a majority of members that were not on this floor 4 years ago. And I think it's hopeful, but hard to be hopeful, that when you have that big a change of new people come in and you continue down this path, that it's likely going to change. It's long past time for this chamber to enter every other chamber that our citizens of this Commonwealth send members to and have proportionality representation. The other chambers were doing it in the 20th century. We're now in the 24th year of this century, and hopefully we will eventually get to where we should be. Thank you, Madam President.
The question is, shall the report be adopted? All in favor of the adoption of the report will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Where is he?
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. The committee nominations report is adopted.
Madam President.
For what purpose does the senator from Hampton rise?
Madam President, I move that we reconsider the vote by which the nominations report was adopted.
question is, shall the vote by which the nominations report was passed be reconsidered? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The vote by which the nominations report was passed, the committee nominations report was passed, is reconsidered. Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I now move that the committee nominations report be adopted.
The question is, shall the report be adopted? All in favor of the adoption of the report will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. The committee nominations report is adopted. The clerk will read the title of House Joint Resolution number 48.
House Joint Resolution number 48, providing for a joint assembly, establishing a schedule for the conduct of business coming before the 2024 regular session of the General Assembly of Virginia, and providing for legislative continuity between the 2024 and 2025 regular sessions of the General Assembly.
Chair now recognizes again Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the rules be suspended, the Committee on Rules be discharged from further consideration of the resolution, the readings of the title be waived, and House Joint Resolution 48 be taken up for immediate consideration.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended, the Committee on Rules be discharged from further consideration of the resolution, the readings of the title be waived, and House Joint Resolution be taken up for immediate consideration? That would be House Joint Resolution number 48. All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The rules are suspended to take up the resolution for immediate consideration. Chair again recognizes Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the resolution be agreed to, and this is the resolution that addresses the conduct of business for the 2024 session, including all deadlines.
The question is, Chair recognizes Senator McDougall, the senator from Hanover.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, speaking to the motion briefly.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, I'd encourage the members, particularly the newer members, to review this document. There are a lot of important timeframes, and those timeframes include when we elect judges, when bills can only be voted on that are Senate bills versus House bills, and some timeframes for the budget, and when we come back for the reconvened or veto session. Madam President, but I did want to point out one thing that some of us have actually fought for over the years to make sure there was transparency, and it is included in this resolution, but I thought it important enough to bring to your attention. And that's on lines 152 through 163. Rule 19 requires that the budget be presented 48 hours before we have a vote. That is in there to allow each of the members to review that conference report, to know what's in it before we cast the vote. And there are three other provisions that I want to point out, and they're provisions that were placed because they were not always done, and to make sure that we know what we're voting on in the budget. And those three provisions are an appropriation for any non-state agency, Any item that was not in a conference report, in other words, if a bill doesn't pass, you have to delineate that that's in the budget. If it's included, and any item that was not in a general appropriation bill passed by the House and Senate. So, Madam President, as we're going through the process, I do think it's important that this body, and to note that this body is continuing to insist on that transparency. So even when we have disagreements, we still all know what we're voting on, and I'm happy to see that in the procedural resolution as we move forward.
The question is, shall the resolution be agreed to? All in favor of agreeing to the resolution will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The resolution is agreed to. The clerk will now read the title of House Joint Resolution number 49.
House Joint Resolution number 49, establishing a schedule for the conduct of business for the pre-filing period of the 2025 regular session of the General Assembly of Virginia.
Chair again recognizes Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the rules be suspended, the Committee on Rules be discharged from further consideration of the resolution, the readings of the title be waived, and House Joint Resolution 49 be taken up for immediate consideration.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended, the Committee on Rules be discharged from further consideration of the resolution, the readings of the title be waived, and House Joint Resolution be taken up for immediate consideration? Number 49. All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The rules are suspended to take up the resolution for immediate consideration. Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the resolution be agreed to. As indicated, this resolution number 49 establishes a pre-filing period for the 2025 regular session of the General Assembly, and those dates are so indicated. So I ask that you all commend this and put it to memory.
For what purpose does the senator from Hanover rise?
To speak to the resolution, Madam President.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, sorry to be getting up so much, but I do think, particularly because we have new and returning members, pointing some of these facts out are important. And I'll draw the members' attention to line 11. The date might seem similar to dates we've used for pre-file, but this is actually the Monday before Thanksgiving. And I appreciate the fact that the senator from Hampton has moved this forward. Our staff, our legislative services staff, has to log in all the pre-files, and doing it before they go to Thanksgiving takes a burden off of them and gives them a lot more time as they're drafting next year. But this is an earlier date that any of us are used to, and make sure that we mark it on our calendars going forward to next year.
The question is, shall the resolution be agreed to? All in favor of agreeing to the resolution will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The resolution is agreed to. The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke, will inform the House of Delegates of the action of the Senate. The Senate will be temporarily at ease. The Senate will come to order. Resolutions, petitions, and bills are now in order. Chair recognizes the senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, we would ask if any senator has any first-day bills, such as VRS bills or legislation requiring a study, that they be turned in. You need to advise the clerk's desk at this time, if anybody has any. Nobody has any.
The senator from Hanover.
Madam President, maybe we could be a little more forceful in the explanation that any bill involving VRS or any bill requesting a study has to, pursuant to the procedural resolution we just passed, be introduced by 5 p.m.
That's
today.
correct.
Or it cannot be introduced without unanimous consent, which we all do not like to do. So just a reminder. So if you have any VRS bills or any bills that are going to request a study, they have to be submitted by 5 p.m. today.
Madam President.
Senator Surville.
Thank you. I just thank the senator for his clarification of my inartful articulation. But he's correct.
Is there any other business to come before the Senate? The clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Wednesday, January 10th, the Committee on General Laws and Technology will not meet. The Committee for Courts of Justice will meet jointly with the House Committee for Courts of Justice 15 minutes after recess in House Committee Room C-206 GAB. This is a time change. 15 minutes. Formerly known as judiciary.
Chair again recognizes Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate stand in recess until 3:30 p.m.
The question is, shall the Senate stand in recess until 3:30 p.m.? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The Senate stands in recess until 3:30 p.m., at which time it will convene in the Senate chamber to proceed to the House of Delegates to receive the State of the Commonwealth address by the governor.
This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. the Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. the Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. the Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. the Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. the Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. the Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
The Senate will come to order. The senators will take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will retire to the gallery. The hour having arrived for the joint assembly to receive the governor, the senators will rise and proceed to the hall of the House of Delegates, accompanied by the President of the Senate and the Clerk of the Senate. Upon adjournment of the joint assembly, the senators will return to these Senate chamber.